You know exactly where it is. Not in the way you know where your keys are, in the other way, the way your skin tells you before your eyes do. It is behind the refrigerator, or under the sink, or in that gap between the counter and the wall that you pretend does not exist. You have tried everything: the spray, the boric acid, the sticky traps with the small promise on the packaging. It came back. You sealed every gap, cleaned every surface, stopped leaving dishes in the sink. It came back. It always comes back. And at some point, if you have lived with this long enough, you start to wonder whether it knows you are trying. It does not. But the reason it keeps coming back is stranger than that. It comes back because of something that happened 2,100 years ago, a single evolutionary decision that was not about surviving the wild, it was about surviving you. Specifically, personally, precisely you, your kitchen, your warmth, your food, your attempts to kill it. The cockroach is not an intruder that wandered into the human world. It is an organism that decided, 2,100 years ago, that the human world was the only world worth living in, and it has spent every generation since then getting better at that decision. This is what it has learned, and it is more unsettling than you think. Here is the question that this forces into the open. Most animals that live near humans adapt to tolerate us. They learn our schedules, avoid our sight lines, stay in the shadows. The cockroach did something more specific. It did not adapt to the edges of the human world. It adapted to the center of it, to the kitchen, to the heat of the pipes, to the darkness under the appliances, to the exact humidity of the space behind your refrigerator. These conditions do not exist in nature. They only exist where humans build and cook and sleep and forget to clean behind things. There is no forest on Earth that provides what your kitchen provides. The cockroach did not find a loophole in your home. It evolved specifically for your home, for every home like yours, for the one thing that is consistent across every human structure on every continent: the warmth, the food, the dark, the pipes. Tang at Harvard University published research in 2024 in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences tracing the complete genetic history of the German cockroach across 281 specimens from 17 countries on 6 continents. The German cockroach, the one most likely living behind your refrigerator right now, does not exist anywhere in the wild. There is no ecosystem, no forest, no riverbank, no mountain where it lives independently of human infrastructure. It evolved approximately 2,100 years ago, probably in India or Myanmar, by adapting specifically to human settlements. It then moved westward to the Middle East around 1,200 years ago, a migration that coincides exactly with the expansion of trade routes by the Umayyad and Abbasid caliphates, hitchhiking in breadbaskets and cargo. It reached Europe a few centuries later on trading ships. It reached your continent on the same ships that brought everything else humans were moving around the world. Every trade route, every colonial expansion, every steamship, every flight. The German cockroach has traveled with humans for over 2,000 years. It has followed us across every ocean. It has moved into every city we built. It knows our infrastructure, literally, genetically, as encoded behavior, better than most animals that have been living alongside us for the same amount of time. And then we tried to kill it. For decades, the most effective method was glucose-based toxic bait, sweet, attractive, lethal. Cockroaches ate it, cockroaches died. The problem was solved. And then, in the 1980s, in a population in Florida, the cockroaches stopped eating it. Ayako Wada Katsumata and Kobe Schall at North Carolina State University spent years understanding what had changed. They published their findings in Science in 2013. In a normal cockroach, glucose activates the sweet taste receptors. The insect experiences it as desirable and eats. In the new population, glucose now triggered both the sweet receptors and the bitter receptors simultaneously. The bitter signal was stronger. What had tasted like food now tasted like a warning. The cockroach walked up to the bait, touched it with its taste receptors, experienced something between sweetness and revulsion, and walked away, untouched, alive. This change happened not over centuries, over a single generation. Bait manufacturers reformulated. They removed glucose, added other sugars. The cockroaches evolved a version to those too. Their saliva converts complex sugars into glucose during digestion, so whatever sugar the bait contained, the cockroach's own chemistry eventually produced glucose, and the aversion activated. Wada Katsumata and Schall documented this cascade in 2021. The cockroach had not just evolved to avoid one bait, it had evolved a general mechanism that would catch almost anything humans put sugar in. Schall summarized the situation plainly. We are constantly in an evolutionary battle with cockroaches. Evolution can be sped up tremendously in the urban human environment because the selection force imposed on insects inside homes is so intense. You spray, it evolves. You reformulate, it evolves again. You try something new, it is already working on the next adaptation. And then there is the part that nobody expects. The glucose aversion that saved the cockroach from your bait came with a cost inside its own species. Male cockroaches offer females a nuptial gift during courtship, a secretion from a gland on their back, a mixture of sugars and fats that the female feeds on while the male initiates mating. For 2,100 years this ritual worked. The female tasted the gift, found it acceptable, allowed the mating to proceed. Wada Katsumata published research in Nature Communications Biology in 2022. When glucose-averse females encountered wild-type males, males who had not evolved the same aversion, they tasted the nuptial gift, detected glucose, experienced it as something between sweet and bitter, stopped feeding, and walked away. The male was rejected, not because he was inferior, because he was normal. The adaptation that protected cockroaches from your spray was now disrupting their own reproduction. The very mechanism that kept them alive in your kitchen was making it harder for them to find each other. The cockroach, in evolving to survive humans, had changed itself in ways that created problems within its own kind. And this is the part that is about you. You have had this feeling. You have tried to get rid of something and found that it keeps coming back. Not because of bad luck, not because you did not try hard enough, but because the thing you are trying to eliminate has already anticipated your next move. It is already one step ahead of the method you thought would finally work. The cockroach does not plan, it does not think, it does not know you exist in any meaningful sense, but it has been shaped by humans for 2,100 years into something that is better at surviving human efforts to destroy it than almost anything else alive. Every generation that survived your ancestors' attempts left descendants slightly more resistant. Every failed spray, every reformulated bait, every ultrasonic device has applied selection pressure that generation by generation built the thing behind your refrigerator. The cockroach behind your refrigerator is not your enemy. It does not know you are its enemy. It is just the result of 2,100 years of your species and its species trying to solve the same problem from opposite sides of the wall. And it has gotten very, very good at its side of that problem. The spray is under the sink, you already know it won't work. But you'll try it anyway. And so will it.